Hi guys, what's up? My name is Brenna Nyambeki. You can call me Shori for grief, and welcome to another episode of The Healing Hearts. We are yet to find a suitable name for this podcast because I was talking to my executive producer, and it was Sly Mora. Akaniambia that name, kaniambia bado nirudi jikoni nipike kidogo. So we are, for now, because we had started a community called The Healing Hearts. So we'll leave it at Healing Hearts for now until probably we get a suitable name later. So welcome to this episode of Healing Hearts, where we talk about grief and loss, but we don't want to cry. We just want to have fun. We just want to, just take a trip down memory lane and just see the things we did when we were going through grief, the decisions we made when we were going through grief, some of the things we said, some of the things we did when we were going through grief, and just laugh. And some of the things our relatives did or our loved ones did, our friends did, and just laugh about it. So I'm requesting, if you are comfortable talking about your grief, loss, please feel free, holla at me and come, let's talk. Let's have fun on this. Imagine I'm on this set alone. Just come, let's have fun. So, before I get to this episode, let me tell you about Healing Hearts, the Healing Hearts community. So, I think it was the other year, 2024. Yes, 2024. I started talking about grief, my grief story and my grief journey on TikTok. And then I got people who were just commenting and saying how they lost their parents, they lost their loved ones, they lost their children, and how they're still in that journey. So what did I do? I decided to form a community. And what did I do with this community? I brought in a psychologist who helped us, who held our hands through the journey. So what we did with this community was we had 10 sessions of group therapy. Well, yeah, we had 10 sessions of group therapy. We did it for 10 weeks, if I'm not wrong. We did it for 10 weeks. And then we actually finished the 10 modules because I curated the modules. We finished the 10 modules. However, I think towards the end, our psychologist also just, things were happening in his life, a lot of things. So he had to take a step back. And I am not a psychologist, so I couldn't carry the group through the grief journey. So we had to put a pause. That's how the Healing Hearts community was formed. And then we just went dormant. And that's one of my things that I am really, really fighting this year. One, inconsistency. I am fighting that thing. This thing of procrastination, I am fighting it. This thing of doubting myself, thinking, oh, what will they think? Oh, what will they say? I don't care. Whatever you say, whatever you think, that's up to you. So yeah, that's how the Healing Hearts community was formed and was born. I had an amazing cohort the first cohort I think had around 15 people, and we shared our stories. We cried together. We were there for each other during that time. And it was really, and I remember it also took me back. I had to go back to therapy, and which brings me now back to today's episode. I want to talk about life after. If you remember the previous episode, I spoke about my mom's death, how I learned about her death, how I received the news. And did I talk about, I didn't talk about, so this is what happened. My mom died on July 24th. We buried her on 12th August. Why we buried her on 12th August? Because it was like 3 weeks later. By the time my mom was dying, her house was not even, let me not say even halfway done. So by the time she was dying, we were told the house needs to be completed so that she can sleep in that house before she's buried. Talk about African cultures, which nowadays but we appreciate African culture as well. So that's why we had to take time with my mom's. My mom was in the morgue for all that time, and I remember my firstborn bro making so many trips to Kisii and Nairobi. There was so many trips. I used to look at my brother and just wonder, what, my brother, you're going through a lot. And I just thank God for my brother, because I don't know if I were a firstborn, if I'd have handled that situation well. Then my brother used to work in Kisii County, and we used to stay in Nairobi. So when my brother learnt of my mom's death, he came to Nairobi. We saw that day, I mentioned we saw my mom's body that day, the very day she died, even before she got a change of clothes. She was still in her clothes. We saw her body. And that was it. The same evening, my bro had to rush back to Kisii, then to start the preparations for the house. And I remember, I think my brother used to Kisii, Nairobi every 2 days. He'd come today, tomorrow he's in Nairobi. He'd come today, tomorrow he's in Kisii. There was just a lot. And my brother, you could tell from his eyes, he was really, really fatigued. because now he had to think of burying my mom. He had to think of finishing the house. He had to think of his siblings. Now that's my brother and I feel like, wow, Aki, God bless my brother. God bless my brother. And I always tell him, like, I really love him and I appreciate him so much. So now, let's come to life after. Remember, my mom died when I was in third year. We were on a break. We were on long holiday. I was in Nairobi then. So my mom died in July. We buried her in August. I was supposed to go back to school in September. So we have a house in Nairobi. We used to stay in Nairobi, my mom and my second born bro and I. Then what happened was, now we had to make adjustments. So the house we were living in, we had to, what's the word? We had to move to a smaller house because now it's just my brother and I. Where we living in a 2-bedroom house, it's just my brother and I. So we had to move to a smaller house. And I remember after burying my mom, we came to Nairobi. Yeah, I remember very well. We came to Nairobi. We had to look for a house. It was hectic. We are just from burying mom. Now it feels like life is moving. Life is moving. You can't just wezi tu dilidali kidogo kidilidali unasikia sijui so it was just, so we came back to Nairobi, had to look for a house. Did we get a house? No, it took some time. So during that time, I remember it's either I was sleeping in my uncle's place or my aunt's place. Like I was just all over. And that time I felt I felt like there was a lot going on because it felt like I was not stable. I was not stable. I was not processing these emotions because my mom is dead. Now life is moving on. We have to look for a house. I have to think of how I'm going back to school. Well, given I was going back to school, so like I had thought of deferring, but then I was like, why am I deferring? Let me just go and finish. And I remember even going back to school and my lecturers were like, we thought you were going to defer. I was like, let me see. If nikilemewa in between the semester, I'll just defer. But luckily I didn't defer. I went on with my undergrad and I graduated. I didn't take a break. So now let's go back to, we have to look for a house. We have to, the things in the 2-bedroom apartment, some of them have to go to Kisii now because we're moving to a 1-bedroom. Do we need all those things that were in a 2-bedroom apartment? No, because now my brother is going to be alone and because I'm going back to school and it's not like I was in school in Nairobi. So I was going back to school in Kisumu in Maseno. So some of the things had to go back to Kisii. And I remember the part that really got me emotional was how we were packing mom's things and they just had to go to Kisii. I was like, hi, Azizi back in Nairobi. Like, and that's why I'm saying, I think if I were the firstborn, I mean, ningetupisha familia yetu rada. So her things were packed my mom had a lot of clothes. So we packed her things in the suitcases. Some of the furniture had to go to Kisii. Some of the utensils had to go to Kisii. Her clothes most definitely went to Kisii. Now we are starting life afresh. It was a new beginning. But this new beginning feels like, okay, are we always ready for new beginnings? I don't think so. But for me, it felt like this new beginning was so rushed into, like, pa. Mom's dead. She's buried. Go back to school. Albert, go back to work. My firstborn bro, go back to work. It was just like, hey. But now, what the good thing was that August, before I went back to school in September, my brother told me to remain in Kisii with him. So my second-born bro had to go to work, I think, after mom's burial. After like a week, he had to go back to work because he had been away for like 3 weeks. So my bro told me, as Albert is trying to be stable, is trying to stabilize himself back in Nairobi, just stay with me in Kisii. Because then my brother in Kisii had a house. It was like, for him, it felt a bit, I think for him, he was thinking, a more stable place for me. So I stayed in Kisii because I had like 2 weeks left or 3 before I went back to school. I think I had 3. Then my second born bro now was in Nairobi. He had to find his bearing and his footing. And I remember in back then in Kisi, and if you follow me on Facebook, I've written about how Kisi New Life SDA really stood with us, because that time I remember I'd hang out with the youth. I'd hang out. We just my brother had formed a community there, so it was easy for us to just for me to just gel in with them. And plus, I'm an extrovert. I easily make friends, so I stayed in Kisi. And now let me tell you, let me tell you what happened. My brother, see, we have our house, our home where we buried mom. My brother used to stay in Kisi. I know he will. I don't know if he watches how he'll react. So my brother used to stay in town. So my brother one day wakes up and says, he wants to go and stay in that house where we've buried my mom. Remember that house, we had to finish it completely and then we buried my mom there. So my brother says, no, that was yeah, that was before I actually went to I resumed my semester. So first of all, my brother moved from that house to another house. Yes, I remember. And then one evening, I think I was at home. Yeah, or I was just perambulating around with Akina Jobu, because we made friends with them. So we were just perambulating. I had time on my hands, So my brother calls me and tells me, Ebu pack your things. We are moving uko juu home. Our house is like on kwetu kunaitwa Milimani, so it's like, so he said tunaenda home Milimani. For a minute I was like, what do you mean? So I called an aunt of mine. I don't know if I've ever told him this story. So I called an aunt of mine. Nikamwambia, Victor wants to move uko juu home and me, I'm going back to school. How do we go about it? My aunt was like, what do you mean? Anataka kwenda huku kufanya huku kuishi huko peke yake kwa nini? Ndo akuwe na mawazo mingi. Hapana. Then I told her, please find a way of how you're going to handle it. Ndo isikae ni kama we are intruding. Akaniambia, sawa, you leave it to me. So what happened is my aunt called an elder of the church who was a good friend to my firstborn bro. I think they had a conversation, and I think the elder was just like, one thing I'm so happy my aunt did was she just didn't start bashing my brother about it. And I'm so grateful for my aunt. So I think the elder, because later she told me the elder and Vic and my bro had the conversation, and because the very night my brother came and told me, atuhami tena, wacha tukae hapa. I was so relieved, because in my head I was like, how? That house has no one. You want to go and stay there alone. Our mom's grave is as fresh as, it was so fresh. Like, ata haikuwa imezama. It was so fresh. So I was really, because I was like, this was going to be so heavy on my brother, because I was almost going back to Campo. So yeah, and I'm glad. So my bro didn't move home. So now I've gone back to school. Up to that point, I think I remember everything correctly. Yes. So I'm going back to school now to Maseno, because I need to finish I think I was going in for my second semester, my 3.2. I was going for my second semester, third year. Now let me tell you, I think when I went back to school is when I now started processing all this, because remember, mom has just died. Now, the house is already full. Everyone has just come. Everyone is giving you attention. Brenda, what do you want? Brenda, do you want this? Brenda, I got this way. Like, it felt nice. Let me be honest. The attention was really nice at that time. But what I didn't realize was, at that particular point, I wasn't processing my grief, because everyone is just on my neck. Brenda, have you eaten? Brenda, have you showered? Brenda, Brenda. It was nice while it lasted. So I've gone back to campus. Now reality is hitting me, because huku nani hata kupea attention. Umekula, umeoga, hakuna. Lecturer anataka kufundisha, apeane marks zake, afundishe, alipwe salary yake aende. Your classmates are also going through whatever they are going through. They also have classes they have to attend. They have cuts we have to do. So people were not, the attention was not as pronounced as it was back then when we were just at home, because I was like, it felt so good. I was just passing by the market and I saw this dress. I thought it fit. I was like, oh, I saw these shoes. I was like, oh, napigiwa simu naulizwa nikuletee nini, niko supermarket. That was the time I was eating things I could not afford. I used to tell people to bring. Nasikia tu, Brenna, nikuletea nini? I'm like, Galitos pizza, because I was still a comrade. I didn't have money. Galitos pizza, chicken in, like this, like that, creamy in. I enjoyed. In as much as I was going, I enjoyed. So here is the reality hits you. I'm in campus. I had a roommate, but my roommate was not there all the time. So it felt like I used to stay alone. Hey, wah. That was the ghettoest of the ghettoest moments of my life. That was when it hit me, it dawned on me, hey, Brenda, you are on your own. Kina kuramba, ulidhani hautakuwa peke yako, ulidhani kila siku utaletewa kuku. So I'm here. I have to go to class. I have to go to no. Yeah, I used to work. But if you're in Nairobi and if you've hustled and you haven't done promo jobs, Eki, you need to. I don't know. I did promo jobs in Campo. Hey. So I got an opportunity then to also do promo jobs. I was like, Akimi, I'll just do them. So I have to go to class. I have to do cuts. I have to attend practicals because my course was a bit practical. I also have to show up on for work on Fridays. Luckily, I was a class rep. So what I used to do is I'd fix classes from Monday to Thursday, and then Friday to Sunday we are free. So the promo jobs will start on Friday and we'd finish on Sunday. Let me tell you, Mina, I used to cry. I would cry. There's a day on Wednesdays we normally had practical classes. So see, we are organizing how we are going to do the classes outside there. And let me tell you, that wave of grief just hit me. I went to one of the classes. I cried. And then, shout out to this lady. She's called Shikonel on Instagram. She was 1 year behind me. She found me crying and she was like, Brenda. And then she hugged me for long. I think we were there for like 15 minutes. I cried. Shout outs to Shikonel. I cried. And then after that, she just told me, are you okay? Can we now go for the practicals? I was like, yes, we can. I was like, hey, I think I was feeling, I was ashamed. At that particular point, I was always like, do I have to cry in front of people? No. So I always used to hide. Whenever I had a breakdown or a meltdown, I'd find a spot and cry. So that day I was like, Shikonel has found me crying. So it was I was just like, oh my God, now do I keep crying or do I stop? And then when I just saw her and she saw me, and then she hugged me, it was like, okay, now I can't hide. And then I think, yeah, she also cried. We actually cried together. So that was one of the few episodes in Campo. Hey, let's now finish that semester. Let me come to Nairobi for is it December holidays? Yes. That was in 2016. We've come back. So see now I'm done with the semester. I've come back for now December holidays. Ghetto 2.0. The one in Campo was 1.0. This one is 2.0 and it is a Pro Max. Because why? It's the festive season. And guess what? Everyone is going home to their parents. Everyone is going home to their loved ones. What do you have? I only have my brothers. Do we have a home? Yes, we have a home. Do we have a parent? No. Do we have a father? No. Do we have a mother? No. Hey, that was another 2.0. Now, what happened that December? I used to gallivant in people's homes because remember, I'm still a newbie in this grief thingy. Let me call myself that. I'm still a newbie in this grief thing. So people are still checking up on you. I forgot to mention in the ghetto 2.1 year grief, people are checking up on me. Hey, people are always like, I'm praying for you. I know it's not easy, but I'm with you. If you need anything, let me know. There's a relative of mine who used to stay in Kisumu. She even offered, she told me, if you want to come to Kisumu on the weekends, come. Did I go? Yes, I did for a few days. Then I forgot and decided to continue with my shugulis. People are sending you small monies here, 500, 1,000, take care of yourself. Oh, eat lunch, 300. Oh, do this. You know, that time, September, October, November, and that partly that December, it was like, it still felt like there was someone hugging me and telling me things are okay. Then come December, Ghetto 2.0 now. People are going home. Yes. Do you have a home? Yes. Does it have occupants? No. Why? They are 6 feet under. Don't joke. So what I'll do, what I used to do is I used to just galavant. Una call tu watu, kuna form tunaenda sijui sleepover wapi, unasikia tu mtu amesema si twende kwetu, watu tunachinja mbuzi. I'm like, why not, let's go. I mean, sina mzazi wa kuniuliza where are you, so I just call my brother and tell him sasa tunaenda na kina nani huku mali fulani, sasa tunaenda. But there was that loneliness that you'd have, or rather I had, because you're there, people are going, like, it, don't get me twisted, I had fun going to people's houses, celebrating with different people, but I just sit and look. So probably we are at your place and I'm just looking at you, how you're interacting with your mother or your father, and I'm like, oh, must be nice. And then I'm just like, okay, I can't relate, because why? My mother is not there. Yeah, so there was a bit of that. And honestly speaking, I came to realize those moments also carried me through grief, because for a minute I'd be like sad, and then I'm okay. Then I'm like, okay, let's go on with life, Let's go on with life. That passed. That was December 2016. That is Ghetto 2.0. Let's come to 2017. 2017, let's call it Ghetto 3.0. Because now as the days go, you realize you're on your own. Now remember Ghetto 1.0, people are calling, people are still sending money, people are just checking up on you. December, everyone wants you to go to their home because, they feel like of course I'm an orphan, you're lonely and stuff like that. And then come January of 2017, I go back to school for my fourth year, yeah. Now there, the calls have reduced significantly. The calls have, if I used to receive 10 calls a day, they've reduced to actually at a 4. And these 4, 2 are for my brothers. And 1 was from my boyfriend. That time I had a boyfriend. 2 are from my brothers. 1 is my boyfriend. Then this 4th one is, let's say 5. This 4th one is just a random person. And then a 5th one is classmates checking up. Kuna class, kuna assignment, umefanya. So let's say 5. So they've reduced significantly. That's 4th year. But then I remember the 4th year I was really focused. I really wanted to just get done with school, because this was the only thing I'd show. Like, I was like, let me do it for my mom. I have to do this. I have to graduate for my mom. I have to do this. Like, in every if there's anything I'd ever do for my mom, was that graduation. That was, I was looking forward to graduating. Like, I was looking forward to seeing my mom attending my graduation, but it didn't happen. So I had that push and motivation, like, I need to do this for mom, no one else. So Ghetto 3.0. I've told you the calls have reduced significantly. That time I was dating, yeah, but I'd say it was, let's not talk. Maybe I'll do we'll do a series on dating in grief. Yeah. Because I realized this person I was dating at that particular point, this was honestly, like, I wasn't in my right state of mind when I was agreeing to this relationship. And I'm not saying the person was bad. We're not talking about the person, I'm talking about me. I realized at this particular point, I wasn't supposed to be in a relationship. I was not, because I started dating this guy immediately after my mom's death. Did I mention that? I didn't. So I started dating this guy immediately after my mom's death. And years later, I realized this was the biggest mistake I ever did. This was the biggest mistake. I should have just taken time to be alone. because I felt like it also clouded my grief journey. I should have just insisted on us being friends, and just focus on whatever was going on, the grief, my school. I had no business dating at that particular point in my life. Looking back, I'm just like, what? Young and stupid. But oh well. So yeah, so for Thea, this is Ghetto 3.0. I'm focused on my schoolwork because I need to graduate. I need to get done with this. And then I come to I eventually, you think I didn't graduate? Where I even have the booklet that has my name. I should show you. I come to Nairobi. Now I need to start looking for work. Now that was another phase in my life that, excuse me, that I don't think I was prepared enough, because I've come back to Nairobi now, not as a student, not as a, not, I don't want to say I was a child, but I have grown, because my mom died when I was 21. Yeah. So by the time I'm coming to graduate, I have, like, I've changed, I've grown. Now going into the workspace, that was another thing that no one prepared me for. I quit a lot of jobs. Oh my God. I I lost a lot of opportunities. People don't, I think I'll just say it. I lost so many opportunities, not because I was not fit for the opportunities, but because grief had really engulfed my thoughts, my, like, it felt like I had won the grief. Like every part of me just screamed grief, 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 grief. Like it was, I lost so many opportunities because of that. I'd wake up one day, I'm feeling so sad, I don't go to work. First time, of course, your employer will be like, oh, Brenda, you can be like, yeah, I'm okay, I'm just unwell. The second time is like, oh, they'll be like, okay, okay. And not everyone understands. Uh, you lost someone a couple of years back, at it's still in you. No, like you're still going through the process. No, not everyone understands it. I need you to know that. I lost, so, like, I'm not even ashamed to say this. I what's the word? What's the synonym of the F word? Let me just say, I messed up so many opportunities that I feel like would have put me on a different level, opportunities that would have opened so many doors for me. I lost so many opportunities while I was going through grief. I think that's why this grief journey is so personal to me. I remember one time there's this lady. Of course, whatever she said wasn't nice, but she told me, uh, that day, what happened that day? Did I go to work? Yes. And I was just down, like my mood was so low and everything. And then she asked me, Brenda, are you okay? And I was like, you know what? I have this moment, so I'm just like, I'm going through this. And then she was like, how long ago did your mom die? Then I'm like, she died in 2016. Then she said, you should have moved on by now. When I look back at those words, I felt they were mean. But I think what she meant was, um, it's okay, you're going through grief, but life moves on. I think angeniambia hivyo ninge feel difference. But and after that, I think I just pia hiyo niliquit too. Like hivyo too. Like this Ghetto 3.0, I feel I missed a lot of opportunities just because I was going through grief. But the beauty of my grief journey is my grief journey is what welcomed me into content creation, because I started blogging about, I had a blog raised by her. I talk about my experiences, because remember I told you my dad died when I was less than one. Then I was raised by my mom. So I just share my experience as a girl raised by a single mother. And it was so amazing to just see people interacting with my content, seeing people leave reviews, seeing people say, oh, I relate. But here's the flip side to it. The grief, how it had engulfed me, made me not be consistent. I had started with so much zeal, and then at some point I just backed out. I went into, I opened a blog for it. I'd start a content creation thing, and then grief happens. It just I just stop. I know you'd be like, oh, you're just grief everything. But let me tell you, when I realized things were not okay, this is what happened. Um, I no the last job I quit. I had let me it was not a very nice job, but at least it used to put food on my table. I I just didn't show up. I felt like I was so overwhelmed. I just didn't show up. And then of course I was told I was on probation for 3 months, and I was told we can't hire you. Like we can't give you, what was the name? After probation, what are people normally given? That I wasn't given a contract. That's when it hit me. I was not okay. Now remember, it hit me. I'm not okay. It's not like I have a stable source of income, you know. So what did I do? Drum rolls. I signed up for therapy. Yeah, I did. Eventually, I went for therapy. I went for therapy. And guess where I went for therapy? Drum rolls. Madare National hiyo. Madhare MTRH, but Madhare ile moja, ile yenye mnasemanga inakwanga na machizi. Hiyo moja. And let me tell you why I chose Madhare. At that time when I was looking for therapist. That was in 2018? Aki therapist per session was like 1,000 or 1,500 per hour. For you, after the starting therapy is when I realized 1 hour is never enough. Of course, they don't stretch it past 2 hours. Most therapies don't stretch it past 2 hours. But I was like, 1 hour was not enough. And I was like, what? Will I afford 1,500 or 1,000 every hour? And that means I'd have like either four. I was like, well, that's a lot of money. So I called Madhari. They told me the charges. I was told, first of all, I'd pay 200 for registration so that I can have my file there. So if you ever doubt I'm sane, my file is at Madhari. So yeah, 200 for registration and having a file at Madhari. And then I was told the sessions are normally 500 shillings. And for them, they're not limited to an hour. No, it depends on you. So if you want to stay with the therapist for 2 hours, it's okay. So I went. The sessions are normally on Thursday. So I went. The first session I went for was on a Thursday. I was given a student. I was like, I have no problem with students, but it felt like, so the next time I went, the student was not there. Guess what I did? I went and told was it a lady? The guy who was in charge. Yeah, it was a guy. I've forgotten his name. Of course, I can't even mention his name. I remember it was a gentleman who was on duty that day. I went and told him, hi, this is my second time here. I was here the other week. I saw a student by the name so and so and so. I've come here today. They've told me she's not here. She has finished her internship. And then I told him, I do not want a student again. I want someone who will be with me, who will be consistent with me. And then he was like, I think if we were to, he'd have said, say no more or hold my beer. Because he just told me, okay, I've had you. Let me sort it out. So he did a couple of rounds, and then I think 10 to 15 minutes later, he came back and told me, hi, Brenda, I've gotten someone suitable for you. I was given a very amazing lady. We started the session with her. Now, this is the flip side too. If you start the session with someone else and then you're being handed over. Because when I was starting over with this other lady, I had to start all over again to explain my story after I had already cried the previous Thursday. So I was going to cry again today. So that's why I didn't want a student again. So I did the first session. I think I did like, so when I started the sessions, the therapist told me we'll have to meet every week. So every Thursday, back then I used to stay in Gong, every Thursday, I had to be at Madare by 8 a.m. every Thursday without fail. So she told me, as we start the sessions, I'll request you to be coming every Thursday. And then as we progress, the sessions we'll go reducing the sessions. And in all honesty, that's what happened. I think we went for like 5 sessions every week, and then we reduced it to, I started going every 2 weeks. And then after that, I was like once a month, you know? And that was my wake up call. My therapy was like, after, no, my wake up call was, I was like, I can't be quitting jobs just because of grief. I can't be the only one going through grief and not handling it well. That's why I signed up for therapy. And if you follow me on TikTok, I've always advocated for therapy. You do not have, do your research. Nowadays therapists are affordable. I don't want to say cheap, they're really affordable. So if you just budget accordingly, and you're like, if you can afford their 1,000 every week, that's fine. If you can afford 500, go to Madari. Madara is not fancy. Do not expect to sit on a beautiful seat like this or serve juice. No, we'd have the sessions under a tree. And in all honesty, anytime I cried, my therapist had pocket tissues for me. She was very ready. She was always prepared, and she guided me. And my therapy sessions helped me realize I had other underlying issues. We were told to leave CG childhood trauma in 2025, so we are not using that word. But I had other underlying issues that I had not yet dealt with. So my grief was like an eye opener. If I had not gone through grief, then probably these issues that I've dealt with them in my 50s. So my therapy helped me understand myself more, helped me understand why I do things the way I do, why I react the way I do, why I have a certain, attitude towards certain people, because of how I was raised and the things I went through, even in my adulthood, my teenagehood, my childhood. So that was it. For me, therapy really helped me. So when you see me sit down here and talk about my grief and loss journey without shedding a tear, because I have not shed a tear, just know therapy did it. After going through Ghetto 1.0, you remember Ghetto 1.0? That was after burying mom. Ghetto 2.0 was when the reality hit me when I was in campus. Ghetto 3.0 is now I'm back to the working world, and I'm quitting jobs left, right, and center because I have grief all over me. And there's a way people do not, and I don't blame people. There's a way when you're just like woye 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 woye. It's just, it feels like bad energy. So also people do not want to really be associated with you every time, because they know anytime they're with you, unajua mama yangu alikufa, sina mzazi. Like, they're just like, you're always draining people. And I feel that's what I used to do. I drained a lot of people. And at your point, I also lost a lot of friends, because at that point, either I was reacting recklessly, I was just loose with my mouth. I was loose with my tongue. So I lost a lot of friends. But in hindsight as well, I also gained friends who may probably had gone through the same and were like, okay, we understand what she's going through. She might not be handling it well right now, but we understand. So after going through is it the three ghetto 1.0, ghetto 2.0, ghetto 3.0? Yeah, and ghetto 4.0 now, I had the last straw. That's when I now signed up for therapy. And I'm just here to tell you, therapy changed a lot of things for me. Therapy changed so many things for me. I was able to understand where I'm coming from, how I behave, why I behave the same, why I behave the exact way. And I was able to just, regulate my emotions. I was taught how to regulate my emotions, because I think when I was going into therapy, I was just like, do what you want. I don't care. But nowadays, I know how to regulate my emotions. I know when I can have my outburst and when I can't have my outburst. So that was life after. How has it been? That was I went for therapy I think that was in 2022. Went for therapy in 2022. Now it's 2026. And do I have moments where I cry? I still cry about my mom. I still miss my mother, especially on Mother's Day, especially when it's around her the anniversary that is in July. July and August are really not good months for me. It's not like the whole 2 months are not good, but I'm always like, these are the days, these are the months I'm not. And Mother's Day, of course. And do I cry? I still cry. I remember there are times I've done this on TikTok. You're walking on the road and this wave just hits you and you're crying. Thank God for sunglasses. You're seated somewhere and you're just like, wow, I really want my mother. And you cry. You're just seated somewhere and you're like, I really need. There are things you go through and you're like, can I talk to someone? Your mother is not there. When I got married, my mother was not there. You think I don't take it? Ay, nilalianga bado. So yeah. that has been life afterwards. I still cry, but I'm at that stage in my life where I'm like, I am aware. Nowadays I know my triggers. Mother's Day. Naonanga watu wakipost najiambia must be nice. Hiyo July najiambia must be nice. August must be nice. I know my triggers. I also do not like spending so much time with people like, and not in a bad way. If you're my friend and you have both parents, like I really struggle with just having you around your parent for a long time, because I'm just like, see, like, if we are kinasikia, I'm just like, must be nice. So I also really try and regulate the number of times I'm around people with their parents, because I don't want to start crying. So I'm really aware of my triggers. I'm really aware of what makes me cry, and I'm really aware of how I can regulate my emotions, you know. Yeah, and so far so good. Of course, I think there are moments I don't handle them well, but I'm human. But so far so good. Life after my mom's death, this grief journey has not been easy, but I can tell you for sure, it gets better. You learn to live with it. Of course, you don't move on, because how do I shade off my mother, my someone I knew for like 21 years? How do I just shade her off? So, but it gets better. With time, it gets better. For sure it does. It does. Get it from me. Otherwise, thank you so much. If you're going through grief and loss, please, it gets better. And I'm sending you hugs and hugs and hugs. And please, I'm just requesting, if you're in a position to talk about grief, please come. Please come. I have planned the series in such a way that we're going to be talking about different things at different times. You know, if you've gone through friendship loss as well, kwanza friendship loss, inakatanga sana. Job losses, pia that it hurts differently. If you've gone through, if you've miscarried a couple of times, please come, let's talk about it. Let's just share and learn and understand what people go through out here. Otherwise, thank you so much. Remember to like, comment, and also remember to subscribe. Most importantly, subscribe to this podcast, because we're doing better, and this time was so consistent, and you're not giving up. Thank you so much. This has been the Healing Hearts. Thank you.